So I just want to do this little short video on what is the soul. And you may already be on this journey of discovery, or maybe you're quite new to this spiritual journey. I've been on it 20 odd years, but really all my life. We've all been on it all our lives, whether we've been conscious of it or not. So it's a big question, but ultimately, the soul is the totality of who we are. Right now in this physical experience, as you're perceiving yourself, there's only a part of your soul that is interacting with this body. Your soul has the ability and does use this ability to be in more bodies simultaneously. So it's in other bodies at the same time, parallel lives, other planets, other dimensions, different types of bodies. And it does this because one, it can, because it is magical, and two, so that it can learn and grow at an accelerated pace. It's learn how to put its energy into different bodies and to be able to work with all those bodies simultaneously. And the soul, well, the soul is ancient and it is wise, and it's been in existence for perhaps millions, billions of years, since its inception, since Source gave birth to your soul. And all of our souls come from the same place. All of our souls come from the cosmic womb, come from Source. And Source is inside each and every one of us. And we connect to Source through our souls, through our energetic fields. So the soul, ancient and wise in different bodies. It can be hard for us to really understand that from a logical perspective. We don't need to understand it from a logical perspective as we continue on our journey of ascension, which is the journey that all souls are on right now. And we are in times of ascension where consciousness is going to be expanding rapidly due to the amount of light and information that we are receiving in from Source through our sun, through other people waking up. We're all helping each other to wake up and activate, to remember who we are. So you're going to start to, the more you go on this healing journey, the more you can start to receive information from the soul. So the soul holds all of your records. Every life that you have ever experienced is held within the records of the soul, also referred to as the Akashic records or the halls of Amenti. There's a few different names used for these energetic records that hold all of our experiences, memories, all of our skills, everything we've learned. We've been cut off from that because we've been severed from our souls. But as we reconnect back to our souls, we do start to be given that information, but we're not just going to get it all at once, right? Imagine right now, think of yourself now. Think about everything you've experienced from being born in this body to now. Imagine if you got all that information at once. Perhaps you'd forgot it all just flooded in at once. It'd be quite a lot for you to integrate. Put you off balance, let's say. It might make you go a little bit mad, right? So if you imagine that you've been in, I don't know how long you've been in existence. It could be, like I say, billions of years. Imagine, your soul's lived in all of these lives at once, all these bodies at once. Imagine how much experience you actually have, how much you actually really know. Imagine receiving all that in one go. It would be a lot. So the soul, as you are healing, what you're actually doing is, so the more you start to work with your soul, reunite with your soul, which is what I do through my Reconnect program. That is the journey that I've been on. I have been single for 20 years, and people might find that astounding to think of that. But I know why I've been given that information. I knew this a long time ago, why I'd chosen that for ourselves, because understand, the soul chooses our experiences for us. And as the part on the ground, as the human part, it's up to us to take the steps to make the moves. And there's different possibilities depending on what steps and moves we make, but the soul's always trying to guide us to our highest timeline. So for me, that was so that I could create an intimate relationship with my soul. While most of my friends and family were having relationships with the partners, which was their paths as well, I was single and I was creating a very deep, intimate relationship with my soul, and uncovering what my mission was. My mission being to harmonize the path and then lead people on a more direct path, compared to the path that I went on, which was not direct. I had to try on so many things that did not fit in order to find the most direct route, so that I could harmonize the path. So your soul is choosing the experiences for you. And when you understand that the soul is eternal, that it's forever, right? And it is a creator being, it loves to create. It is a God being. Your soul comes from the source that created all of creation. Within your soul is all of that DNA, all of those abilities that exist within the source that created all creation also exist within yours and mine, our souls. And as a human self, it's our job to connect more to our soul, to start to bring that online and start to live more as an ascended human being, awaken to our gifts and abilities. So understanding that the soul is forever and it's a creative being, then it's gonna experience things from different perspectives in order to learn and grow and expand. So it's choosing different experiences that sometimes might feel unfavorable. You might think, why the hell would I choose that for myself? It's absolutely, we can all look back at our lives and realize we've been through things that has been absolutely devastating, heartbreaking, that's brought us to our knees. But it is those times that we've had to go in. It is those times that we have risen up and become stronger and really found parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. I know all of the times I went through trauma is all those points that created a springboard into my awakening, because it was those times I went in, and through going in, we find the destined path. We find the highest timeline, and we go through this dance with the soul in order to do our work on the ground, to order to be able to bring more of the soul in. As much as the human longs for the soul, because it does long for the soul, because the body is made for the soul. The soul meticulously created the body so that it could experience a physical reality. It loves, adores, cherishes the body. So as much as the body wants it, the soul wants it as well, because that's the point of why the soul created it, to experience it. But it needs, when we start to participate with it consciously, the soul is going to be directing our lives in ways, even if we are not conscious of it or not, as well as the egoic programs that are programmed into us from children, that we then further ingrain as adults, because we don't realize we've got trauma to heal, we don't realize we severed from the soul. Well, all of that is drawing to us experiences that are in alignment with all those beliefs about ourselves. Why? To help wake us up, because the soul knows if we've got a mirror that's showing us on the external world our beliefs, we can start to see some of those beliefs. Example, I was in a relationship in my 20s, and yes, I felt love. I was absolutely madly in love with this guy. And I realized he was, a soul. It was a karmic connection for me. We were meant to meet in order to help each other heal deep inner wounds of not feeling good enough. And that relationship was not good. He didn't treat me well. He had a lot but I could see he had a lot of insecurities. And then on the flip side, I allowed it, because I justified it all the time, because I could see into his soul, and I knew he was a good person, that just had all these wounds, and I wanted to make it work. But I started to realize that it didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter how reasonable I tried to be or anything. It wasn't changing. And I realized I had to change me. I had to decide, this is not okay. I deserve more than this. And I had to really love myself radically in order to change that situation. And I did, and I left, and I grew, and I expanded so much through it. I taught myself in that decision to leave that I did matter, that I was important, and I started to heal some of that wounding, but there was more to heal. But that's how the soul works. The ego is going to attract things to you. The ego is programmed with negative programs through this reality, and then it's going to help you to wake up. So if we zoom out and we understand the soul is forever, we can understand why the soul chooses some things that maybe don't seem good in this reality. And when we start to wake up to the soul and work with the soul one on one, and when I say one on one, we start to acknowledge we have a soul. We start to welcome it into our life. We start to go on the healing journey with the soul. Well, the soul is what actually heals us, right? As we bring more of that light into the body, it actually starts to dissolve all the illusions, and we start to feel the truth of who we are. And it is also truth to say that as we heal, we can bring more soul in. So this happens simultaneously. It's absolutely beautiful. The soul is our best friend. It designed the body to have an experience. It doesn't judge us. It accepts everything about us. It understands, it is us. It understands that this earth school is a tough school to be in. There are spiritual initiations in this earth school that are really tough. Why? To wake up. Again, look at your life. If we don't have challenges, we often don't go in and we don't find the true self. You'll be grateful for those challenges one day, because you'll realize those were your best allies. Because of those challenges, it allowed you to liberate, free your soul, free yourself from the wheel of karma, from being imprisoned in going over the same lessons again and again and again. Why do people feel so exhausted? Well, there is many reasons why. But one of them is because often we've been trapped in this reality for quite a long time. There's been a lot of manipulation, a lot of subconscious programming. It still exists right now. As you wake up to the soul, as you embody the soul, heal, you start to become immune to these programming. But a lot of that has meant that often we haven't learned our lessons in lives, and we've had to come back again and again and again. So that is what the soul is. The soul is also, what I should also say the soul is also mysterious and unknown. There is so much about the soul that we do not know from this perspective. But that again is a journey that we go on. The more we start to reconnect back to our true soul self, the more we invite it into our lives, start to work with it on a very conscious level, start to co-create with it, start to follow its guidance. The guidance is coming from the heart space. The soul is leading through the heart, not the fears in the mind. So it often takes courage to follow the guidance of the soul. It often means going against a belief system that's perhaps really central to the family. It often means it can mean completely changing our lives, leaving a job, leaving a relationship. There's a lot of stuff that when we start to work with the soul, a lot of change can happen. And that's often why as well we can stay in our minds. But if we move into the heart space, we're going to start to move with the soul. Back in 2020, back in 2017, I got the message to start retraining. I'd been working 22 years in finance, done all my exams, had what you would class a successful job. But my soul was guiding me to do different things. I started training in hypnotherapy, and by 2020 my soul told me I needed to leave. My head said, "Ooh, you sure about that?" But I was like, no, I've got to follow my soul. I know that I'm being guided to do this, and I took those steps. Now, was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. I had to go many twists and turns, but I understand now. I look back now and I'm so grateful for all of those initiations, all of those lessons that has led me to this point where I'm embodying so much of my soul light, and I have moved into soul alignment, which means my life is now being directed by the heart, by the light, and not by fears. And those fears, whilst I'm not saying I've dissolved every single one of them, is a journey we're going. Many of them have dissolved. I'll never be able to do this, speak to you going back just 4 or 5 years or something. In fact, I'm going to link a video about coming out of the spiritual closet, where you'll hear some of my journey about that and some of the fears and how to do that, and how that liberated my soul and brought in more of my soul, so that now when I wake up, I'm living a life I actually want to live, a life that I'm connected to, that motivates me, that drives me, and every day feels like a weekend. And that is a beautiful place to be. So it's worth having the courage to follow the soul. The soul's never going to give up on you, ever. It is your best friend. It loves you unconditionally. When we start to reconnect, we start to feel that radical love moving through the body, and that radical love dissolves everything. Because what is source? We've been led to believe that source is this malevolent, vengeful God in the Bible. That is not source. Source is a benevolent energy that loves all of its creations, that wants us to have free will, freedom to explore, to expand, to grow, does not judge us, absolutely loves us, understands that when we, hold on one second, understands that when we do things that harm somebody else, and this is not to excuse us doing this, right, but to understand that when we do things that harm someone else, normally we're harming ourselves, we're abandoning ourselves, rejecting ourselves, betraying ourselves by not reconnecting back to our true sort of self. But source understands it's because we are in the darkness. We can't remember that we are these divine beings, that every single person we interact with, every animal, every plant, every tree, is a divine being, is holy, and should be revered, should be held sacred. So we should hold ourselves sacred as these sacred beings, but we've been disconnected from that. Source understands that. As we start to reconnect, we start to feel that love, it starts to dissolve the lies, and we start to feel the truth of who we are. We move into our own divinity. We start connecting to our own divinity. Once we connect to our own divinity, then we're going to see the world as what it truly is, which is magical, sacred. So the soul, it is mysterious. There is so much to know about the cosmos, about the soul, about the fabric of creation. But as we go on that journey of discovering the soul again, remembering the soul again, more and more unfolds for us on this path. And it is a path. Look, it is the destiny of the soul. All souls will take this path at some point. And if you are reading this video, then this is your lifetime for that, right? And there will be some souls out there that have chosen not to awaken in this lifetime. Although what I would say is, I think the majority of the population have chosen to awaken in this lifetime, because we are going through an ascension of consciousness. We are moving into a new time. You might have heard of the new time. It's called the golden age. Some call it the new earth. Sometimes I call it that. But really it's really actually reinstating the original source architecture, which is living in a world where we are living in abundance. We are all abundant. We are connected. We understand that we work from the one source field, and we do things that support each other. We care deeply for ourselves, and we care deeply for each other, and we work together to create a world that is paradise. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of info about the soul. Obviously, knowing things in the mind is not really knowing the soul. But we do have a mind, we do have a brain, and it is also nice to learn these things, right? Because actually you already know what the soul is, because you are a soul, and it's just it's just really a journey of remembering, having things activate inside you. And there'll be things that I say that resonate, that you just know the truth of already. It's already in your body, so you're already going to know it through experience. But there might be some stuff that you believe, but you don't know it so you believe it, but you don't know it in the body. And that's a lot of us. That was me. If you watch my video about coming out of the spiritual closet, you'll see that was me. That I knew about the soul, and I thought I embodied it, didn't realize I didn't embody it. And that was a journey that I've been on. And then the more that I embodied the soul, then you know the soul. The soul is the realest thing in existence. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that.